Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today I'm going to be telling you about Taskade. Taskade is sponsoring this video, which means they have paid me to give my honest feedback and opinions about this application. And so the way I like to do things, I'm going to give you a comprehensive overview of what the app can do, how you could use it, and how it might actually fit into your workflow if you choose to use it. I've been playing around with it for a few weeks, and I've been looking at several different options like ClickUp or Todoist, specifically for like my video script production. And I'm actually leaning towards Taskade overall because of some of the different views, Kanban features, and task comments, and several other little things. So if that sounds interesting, let's get into it. The CEO of Taskade reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a collaboration. And I took a look at the application and I said, sure. As the application actually looks really interesting. And it's quite powerful. It's kind of like a mix between Notion, Asana, or Trello, Slack. It's kind of like a melding of a bunch of different things, little blocks that you can move around that are tasks or text, and you can either make it just tasks, but you can also make it documents, and there's different views like Kanban or an action list or a mind map, an org chart, and there's a ton of collaboration features. And this is all just the free version. The Pro version comes with several other different things, such as actual project version control, and the amount of features is actually really insane. And I'm going to take you through a lot of this today, and it honestly is a really cool application. If I don't like the application, I'm not going to take a sponsorship for it and talk about it because I don't want to be bothered with things that bore me. So this was interesting. That's why I'm doing this. And maybe you might find this interesting too, especially because the free version can come with pretty much unlimited everything except for uploadable file size. So we'll take a look at the pricing comparison later, but stay tuned, you might enjoy this. The best ways to support the channel are, if you're going to do it on an ongoing basis, GitHub sponsors because they take no fees, followed by Patreon. If you're going to do like a one-time thing, buy me a coffee, PayPal, or just fine. And if you just want to support me without any money involved, the best thing you can do is like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and that's it. All right, so let's dive in. Taskade is not something that's actually been on my radar very heavily because I have honestly just not heard of it until the CEO reached out. And taking a look at it, I was intrigued. Like there's a lot going on here. There's some visual elements. I like a lot of the visual elements, emojis, icons, things that can be colorful or that you can customize. And there's actually a lot that can be customized on this application. So we're going to take a look at all these features and some of the things I've discovered about it. And kind of as a bonus for them in this collaboration is that I also took a mountain of feedback and from like UI UX type of feedback and gave it to them. So sorry guys. But they've also been featured a lot in the press. I was actually surprised how much press they have gotten. And it's actually warranted. They've got some really cool stuff going on and they're pushing out features pretty quickly. They are available for pretty much any and everything. I mean, yes, it's a web app, which means pretty much anybody could use it, but it's a web app that works on any of these, any Chromium browser it looks like, and Firefox, any of your mobile devices, and pretty much any major OS platform, or a Snap if you have a Linux distro that doesn't seem to support, looks like maybe a Debian install app image, but you got Snap. So there's plenty of things you can do. And then finally pricing. Just up front, it is free. You can use this for free. And most of the things that you probably care about the most in using an application like this are still free. Unlimited tasks, projects, collaborators, templates, all of those things, unlimited. That's pretty awesome. I actually only just now look at the pricing just now, and I was actually surprised. This is a much better, like, what is it, freemium type of model than I was expecting. So, we can't sort tasks or repeat them, bulk assign. So there are some things that are, those are a little bit of friction, but, for $5 a month, I pay about that much for Todoist, and that's not bad. History up to a point, pretty much some modifications for aesthetics, calendar integration for two-way. You can get one way, but two-way is a new thing there. Get pushing out for Pro, priority support, onboarding and training, and then the coming soon stuff. Well, that still sounds like a really great thing because one, you don't have to just, deal with put my credit card on, cancel a free trial, deal with a free trial. There's no free trial. It just is free. So that's pretty awesome. Right. So what is this thing? What is Taskade? It's on every single platform. You can use it anywhere, but what exactly is it? So we're going to take a look at my workspace, the space where all of my stuff is. So if we take a look in here, inside of this workspace, Bryan's workspace, is several subspaces. Now I'm going to go through the architecture of this, and honestly, there's a lot to Taskade, so I'm going to be looking at my script over here. So if you see me glancing over here, that's why. So inside of Taskade, you have a workspace. Inside this workspace, you have everything that is yours, top level. So subspaces are like little tiny, what do you call those things? Like little playpens for kids. You have a little playpen. Inside that playpen, you can have stuff that lives in your workspace, but it's inside of this playpen. And you can invite people into that playpen to work and play with that stuff. So in essence, you can say, I only want to let people access this particular playpen full of items, and we can work collaboratively, and we can manipulate these things, and they can touch and change and deal with these things, but only in here. That way you can cordon off certain areas of your workspace and the items contained within it for basically provisioning and permission issues. I want to work collaboratively with you, but only on these items that are in this subspace. So this is a really great way of enforcing permissions-based access. So inside of my workspace, I have several different things. So my main workspace, I have a project, but I also have two subspaces that I was playing with. A video queue, and video ideas. Video ideas is empty. And what you can put into these spaces are projects. That is what goes in there, just projects. So this is already based on project-based workflows. So we're going to create a brand new project. And the really cool thing about all this is that they have a lot of communication and distributed team communication facilitation features, chat, video calls, collaborative editing, live, and it's just like a good combination of task management, Kanban boards, and collaborative work around a project type of framework. So this is going to be something that's really cool and useful for teams. Honestly, if my team wasn't already heavily invested into different Microsoft tools and things that we are already using, because we're a government agency dealing with Microsoft contracts, I would be considered pushing this forward and saying like, hey, let's check this out. But maybe this might be something interesting to you. So let's make a new project. All right, new project. And now what do we want to make? Now I can make a blank project. I can import something. I can create a template, or I can use a template. For now, let's just make something blank and start from scratch. And then we start looking at all these options. So a blank project, and it's going to develop this. All right, so what do we want to do? It's a blank slate. So what projects are, basically a giant container for all of your tasks, your text, and anything you want to put into it. It's honestly a blank slate. So we're just going to call this YouTube Live example. Okay, and inside here is already ready for us to deal with tasks. So let's say get the API call working. Let's say we want to create user auth tokens, whatever, just some tasks. So now we have these tasks, and just like Notion, those little 6 dots you can drag and drop and move, you can nest these tasks underneath each other, and you have basically unlimited levels of task nesting. So projects contain all of your tasks and everything else. So now that we got our workspace, a subspace, a project that contains tasks inside of that subspace, what does this look like at the top organizational view? So inside my workspace here, underneath directly, it doesn't show me the subspaces in here, it just shows me projects. So this isn't relevant. But under my subspace, video ideas, here we go. YouTube Live example is the project we just made. So now there's a blank project and it has tasks within it. So inside of this subspace, which you can think of as just a, a little cordoned off area, playpen, but it's almost like its own workspace, its own view into things. So if you have multiple projects, a big initiative, a big organizational initiative, and you have several projects, multiple team members, project managers up in here managing things, here's a really cool way of managing all these tasks and features and things, is that if you have a project and that project has tasks, inside of the workspace or subspace view for that project, you can see all of the tasks inside of that project. Now, it doesn't show here because I'm not assigned anything. So that's important, is that it won't just show you junk. It'll only show you things that actually have due dates or that are assigned to somebody. So let's go and add those items of detail. And I'll cover all these features again in better detail later. So due date, we're going to say that's going to be due tomorrow. And this is going to be me. And I'll cover the hotkeys later because I am loving the hotkeys and I'm pushing Taskade for like, please make more hotkey support. Let the keyboard rule everything if possible, because that's the Vim user in me. So hopefully they listen. So now that we have a due date and an assigned task, let's go back and let's look at all of the tasks for all of the projects inside of this subspace. I realize I should probably zoom in a little bit more. So hopefully, there we go. So tasks, here we go. Get the API call working is upcoming and it's due, but it's not assigned to me. But here to this one that doesn't have a due date, but it is assigned to me. So now these are showing me things that are important. Either, hey, your project has some work that needs to get done and nobody has assigned it, or it might just be the work needs to get done. So that way you can keep tabs on that, or what just the timeline is, or hey, this is yours and it needs to be done. So here we go. But you can also filter these things. I only want to see what's assigned to me. Or I can say show all, or I can deal with the temporal portions. So either the assignment or the temporal portions. Great ways of filtering through if you have hundreds of projects, millions of tasks, and you only want to see what is temporally important now, what's due tomorrow, or what do I care about? What's my stuff to deal with? And this is a great way of dealing with that at a higher level over many projects. So ultimately, why might you use this tool? So not only is it really great for dealing with projects or bite-sized work, if you've never dealt with something in software such as Scrum, Agile, where you break out a piece of work into several smaller components and you have 2 to 4 week sprints where you say for this amount of time, this is the feature I want to get out on this thing. And this isn't just for software either, but I want to get this work done, break that work into smaller bite-sized components, space them out, work collaboratively with the team, communicate, and keep track of things so that you can see what went well, what didn't, what took time, what was the resource cost, and keeping in constant communication and collaboration. So working like that and just needing that constant feedback, this is a great system to facilitate that, because each project could basically be a feature. And if anybody's familiar with Scrum and Agile, you could basically just treat a subspace as an epic and then a project as a feature, the tasks inside it as the stories, and then comments or other subtasks or whatever as the tasks. And there's plenty of other ways to make that, to use this for facilitating that type of workflow. Now, it's also great for project management just because of the pure hierarchy. You can involve permissions-based access to different projects for little subspaces where people need to have interaction and collaborate and communicate. But then each of these projects inside of your subspace roll up all those tasks and responsibilities, assignments, due dates, everything of all those tasks and stuff up there at that level. And there's more to unpack there with what you can do with it. And there's a high hotkey emphasis, which means more hands-on keyboard means more efficient usage of the tool. But we also have all of these amazing communication features. So inside of a particular item, task, I can actually leave a comment and say, hey, I'm just going to bother John, John's not on this project, but okay. So I can say, hey, somebody, and I can @mention them. I can tag them. So I don't think I can do myself. Oh, I can. So I can say, hey, self, do this task. And there we go. I can now submit this comment. It's like a whole Slack channel discussion on a particular task, a single line item. And that's just a comment. We can also do Markdown support, basic Markdown support, emojis, upload files, embed videos even. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. So you can embed files, and we can even say, bold text test. So there is a lot of stuff we can do to collaborate here. And I can reply. So this is a really great way of communicating on just your task items. And there's the comments. But we also have the actual chat, the work chat. So I could say at me, and this is the same thing, Markdown support, emojis, files. It's almost the exact same thing, but at the global level for the project, not just an individual task. Do that one task. There we go. And so then you can have a reply back and forth and have a conversation. But there's also calls, and you can actually call and have a video call about the work that you're doing right here live together at the same time, because you can live edit multiple people in the same project at the same time, which is awesome. And if you're wondering what that kind of thing looks like, hey, let's start a call. I could add somebody to this call, invite somebody, join the meeting. Let's mute myself so I don't hear echo feedback. And bam, now I'm in a video call within the service. Here we are. And I can start screen sharing, enter tile. It's just like a video call, Zoom or something, inside of the application itself, which makes it really easy to have your conversation over here, have chat over here, but also everyone working collaboratively like a Google Doc at the exact same time here. That's awesome. All right, so let's back it up a little bit. Go up a level. Your global workspace. So we have our global workspace. And one thing that's really cool that what we can do in here with projects is if I have a particular project, and let's say that it's something that's high priority, it's something that I care about a lot about, or it's something that I'm currently working a lot on, and it needs to be prominent. I need to make sure it's at the top of everything. We have some options. You can pin your project to the start or the top of your project area. And so if I made another new project, for instance, and test, there we go up again, the pinned project is going to be separated. It's going to be distinct. And by the way, you remember how all those tasks, you could sort them by due date, upcoming, past due, whatever? Projects too. It's almost like each of these items are primitives of each other. So the task chat is really just the project chat at a higher level. The tasks, due dates, and how they're treated as items in here to, sort and filter like this is almost like a primitive of the projects, because the projects are the exact same thing, assign, due date, but also there's also tags. We'll get into tags later, trust me. So we have all these items here, and we can even filter by assignment and tag on projects. So if we actually had due dates, I think we'd probably be able to sort by those too. Let's check. Bam. Maybe not. Oh no, that's because that one's actually on the roadmap. So we'll get to that too. But here we have all the projects, and we can pin them, but we can also star them. So what does a star look like? So if I go here and I say star, it just puts a little star next to it. But now we can also, I guess we can't filter by starred, but I guess you can star them. So at this time, it doesn't look like you can actually do much of anything with stars by filter by them. So I've already just made another comment to the Taskade team. But having a filter, because these are progressive filters, just like in Zotero, where you click on one of these tags and it filters everything to everything that has that. But if you click another one, it's everything that had the first thing and has the second thing. So if we added stars to this, you could easily just see all things that have a particular set of tags that are assigned to you and that you starred. And so that's just another great way, or would be another great way of managing the metadata of your projects. But for now, it doesn't appear like they do anything. But you can star them. Now, one really cool thing about projects in this, if you have due dates, this one just has a due date, the 15th. But if I have this one, let's do the starred one, and I set the due date to be 12, here's the cool thing. If I click again, it gives you a date range. This is really cool for the next thing. Set that date range. This is when it's due. If I go to the roadmap, because projects holds the projects, tasks, you'll see all the tasks that we already looked at, but roadmap shows you where the projects are. And let me hold command and scroll. It shows you where the projects are on a timeline. So this one is due on the 15th, but this one has a due date range. So this is sort of like a Gantt chart for your projects. Really useful for, say, a project manager. Somebody can easily come in here and see when all of these things are, getting done, But even cooler than that is that if I open up this project, so let's say a YouTube example, and I complete what's assigned to me, just, I complete a task. If I go back, look at the roadmap, and then I go to that area, this will actually show you a progress indicator bar of how close to completion that project is based on the ratio of completed and non-completed tasks. So this is a great high-level view of your projects in your workspace for a project manager. So I really hope they get more information. I think I've already suggested it about having percentages or counts here, but this is incredibly useful as a view to get, again, another higher level view of all of these granular areas. Because imagine the discussions in the comments on a task, the tasks, nested tasks inside of a projects that have all this other, attachments and links and communication and calls. But that's just one project. From that project, you have the whole subspace that has all these projects like that, organized, tagged, assigned, due dates in this Gantt kind of view for the projects, and then ultimately all of it living in workspaces. So this is already a great way of breaking things down progressively into smaller, more manageable chunks for a collaborative team effort, and a great way of project management. And the best part is that for the basic model, it's free. And you know that you want to get rid of as many, facets of repetition as possible when it comes to your workflow. You want to template as many things as possible and just live with templates, because it makes everything simpler if you don't have to type and redo everything every single time. So with templates, you can have project templates, and it's amazing. I have one for my YouTube script. I'm not really going to show that one, but what I could do is say that inside of this test project here, actually, let's go to the other one, the live example. So let's say that we have these two tasks, and I'm going to add another one and just say set up front end and connect back end, whatever. And this is something that I want to save as a template. This is going to be my standard project template. So what I could do is I could either do it in here, or I could do it on the other menu, and I could say add to templates. That's it. Add to templates. Where would I want to add this as a template? Let's add it to the video ideas workspace. So this is my main area. This is Bryan's area. And then I have my two subspaces in here. I could have projects here, here, or here. This is actually Taskades where they have their changelog, but that's what you're seeing here. But where do I want this template stored? I want it under this workspace. And there you go. That's it. Done. So this copy, I think is actually the name of the template. Yeah, so this is actually the name of the template, because I guess projects across even the templates can't have the same name. So in any case, this is now a template. Okay, I click on it, all the metadata gets removed. So the due date gets removed. Tags, I think, stay, but the due date is gone. And so is the assignment or due date on the actual task items themselves here. So now that we have a template, let's apply it. I'm going to go back to my projects in my subspace and say, okay, test. This is due on this date range, but I actually want to insert a template. Can I do that in here? I don't think so. Nope, we actually have to make a new project. So the way that it's going to work is I'm going to say new project from template. And here we go. We have a list of the templates that are available in this subspace, because it's only based on subspace, I think. So if I went up here to my main area, yeah, so it's only based on subspace. So here, I'm going to make a new project from this template. There we go. So what do I want to name it? Let's just say this is the project from template. I can never spell template right. There we go. So now I go back. There we go. We have a new project, and it looks exactly like that template. So you can't just insert content, kind of how we and people who use Obsidian just insert content templates inside of the notes themselves. This is actually developing a brand new project, but from a templated project. That's just awesome. Especially because it's so easy to just come back here, go into your templates and update and modify them like that. There's no friction to updating these templates. So if you have a standard template for writing team documentation about something, or you need to make a new feature and you have a specific set list of criteria, tasks, and documentation and helpful notes and stuff about how to do that, and you have a template, just insert the template, kick that off just like that, and now your work is already simpler. Awesome feature. All right, so now looking at this hierarchy again, task, project, sub, and main workspaces. What does it look like when we do assignments in here? So if I'm going to go to a particular task, well, let's start with at the very bottom. We need to start at the very top, because this is actually how this works, is that it's permissions top to bottom. So I need to invite somebody to this general area first. So I'm going to say, I'm going to invite. So I honestly just don't have anybody to invite. So I'm going to just use one of my other projects where I actually have the CEO of Taskade added to the project. So sorry, John, if you get endless tags from me. So inside of this project, I've actually invited John here to this project. Now you can actually, from the invite, you can invite them to the entire subspace, which allows them to access every single project in that subspace. But we could be even more granular. Let's just say you have a subspace for particular teams at your organization, but that team only needs input from another team on a single project. Why would you give them access to all of that other team's stuff in this instance? So you can say, I only want to invite you to a specific project or a workspace, because that gives you all the projects. So if I invited him to the project, he's on it. And now what I can do with that is that now that he's in this project, I could say, make a new task, and I can assign John to this task. And now he has it assigned. It will pop up in his queue. It'll be there. If it had a due date, it would be just like what we saw earlier. I can assign tasks to John now. And the same thing is that you can this actually invites somebody to the project, like invites them to it, but the project is actually assigned to me right now. Now I could totally just say, I think I have to actually, okay, yeah, just click on myself. But now I can assign somebody, and I guess I can't do it here, but you can assign projects to other people. So, or maybe not. Maybe you actually have to have it assigned, or you have to take it on yourself. Or this is, okay, I didn't invite him to this workspace. So if I did that, then what I could do is I could invite him to the workspace, assign the project to him, and then it would appear like this in his menu, and then he could filter based on assigned to me. So in that way, you can assign whole projects, but it depends on where you invite them into. Invite them into the workspace means you can assign projects. Invite them to the projects means you can assign them tasks. And this is a great way of making sure people collect the work that they need to have, the permissions to get to the places where they should be, and keep them out of places where they don't have any business being. So assignment is a really cool facet of this, because you can give things to people and take on what you need to for yourself. Aha, I have discovered where the stars go. Stars actually come here. So I have my workspace, but my actual home, has my recently edited items owned by anybody. I can filter all that. Calendar actually shows me various projects based on the timelines for those projects. So kind of like that roadmap, but this is cool. So I can see week, I can see day, and it looks like, yep, get the API call working. That's actually a task. So this will show me tasks from all of these projects. So yeah, Taskade video script and test. Yep. So these are actually from different projects. So this actually shows me my overall view, agenda, and everything based on all the projects I have, all the tasks that I'm assigned, and it also shows me my stars. And here's tasks from everything. So it actually shows me which project they're from. So we actually do have a roll-up view outside of just this sub and workspaces. You can get the entire view for all things for what you care about. Kind of like a constant notification feed of things that you care about for project management. That's pretty rad. You've seen me make new projects from scratch, from templates, but what are these import options? So import, we can do two different things, import from Trello or import from Markdown. This is a really cool feature, especially when you start going back and forth where I want to go from Trello to Taskade to Markdown to get things out. So this is a really cool way of doing things. So let's actually go and import a Taskade project from Trello. So on Trello, this is what I have. It's just a default template from Trello, so just stuff. So now let's go and authenticate. Okay, and I will allow, so I can access my boards, and I'm going to say, give me my Taskade test Kanban board, import to this work subspace, go to workspace, and we will see it now. There we go, Kanban template, great. So inside here, it defaults to board view because it just imported a Kanban board from Trello. So now we have all of these items pretty much exactly the same way as we did here. Now in Trello, you can actually like archive these tasks. So I'm not sure why this just leaves it here, but in any case, doesn't matter. So here we go. This is awesome because now you can just import everything from Trello. Super easy to do that. So there's that. But what does the Markdown one look like? How do we import from Markdown? Okay, so let's try this one. Import from Markdown. Where's the Markdown I'm importing? I can just paste it, or I can select a file. So I'm going to select a file, and I just took that Kanban board, exported it to Markdown. I'll show you how to do that later. And we're going to import it as Markdown. There we go. So a few seconds ago, it's this one. And what does it look like? Okay, pretty much exactly the same. Now there is some differences because we did export like a Trello, instance, all the Trello content into Markdown and then back into this. So that might be why it's a little wonky. But when you do a full normal Markdown import, it's actually really good. You want to see a simpler example? Okay, simpler example. Let's just type something. So let's say, this is my project. And let's just do doing, and we'll put, I don't think we can have spaces. We'll add a task, thing 1, and then done, and we'll add thing 2. Let's see what this does. Some headings, some tasks. Okay. So the H1 became the project name, the H2s became actual headings, lists, and then I actually got these list items here added inside of the headers. So in this way, yeah, and we can easily change this to being, instead of a bullet, we can change this to a task. And I'm not sure, I thought that it would actually import directly as tasks like it should. Maybe, maybe not, I'm not sure why, but still really useful. Plain text in, but also out. The actual export to Markdown is probably cleaner than the import is on this because I can get the task on the export just fine. But either way, when an app allows me, even one that is heavily reliant on GUI, graphical interfaces like this, still allow me to have the ability to deal with and manipulate in and out text, plain text, and Markdown at that, is a really, really great move on their part for increasing the extensibility of what people can and will do with the application, because Markdown is everywhere and it's amazing. And when you don't hold people's data hostage like that, I really like it a lot better. And I really like you a lot better, because holding people's data hostage it's a pretty crappy thing to do. So this is really cool. Now this next feature is actually only for, I think, the pro accounts. So like I got upgraded to test all these features, but for instance, project history. Now there's a bunch of different options here in the ellipses, and we can go to version history, but we can also go to project history. Now this is a beta, but here we go. Completed item 1 2 minutes ago. That's cool. So let's just say this thing, and we're going to go here, change that to that, add a new task, test. Okay, and then we're going to go look at the history again. And you can see all of these different things are all being captured in the project history. Now we can also go to version history and see, oh, okay, and restore prior versions. This is really, really cool. This is something that like Microsoft SharePoint really lacks. And it really sucks because doing checkouts like this, but having control like this to roll back or just to see different changes and be able to see where those changes occurred is awesome. That's really awesome. We can also do something where we can present a project. So I can present, and it basically just takes your whole project to full screen. So, cool. But what we can also do now is we can take that and we can actually export this project. How can you export this project? What can you export it to? Several options, which are actually pretty cool. The export to image is not honestly like a really useful thing, but it's kind of cool. I did actually export my long script for this entire video, and as a single image, it's pretty long, but it actually is a really cool thing because it does the whole thing in a single seamless image. So that's really neat, and we'll do that, and we'll do each of these, for example. So say, yep, this is my project. Save it as an image. We're going to export it, and we're just going to save it as plain text, which is not Markdown, but we're going to then export it to Markdown. And finally, we will export it to PDF, which is not going to be as nice of an experience as you might think. Actually, no, the export to PDF is good. Printing it, on the other hand, print. You can actually print these projects too. So if I did print, and why does it ask me to save first here? Okay, save. Oh, that's for the PDF one. So that one will be print. So print and save as PDF. Okay, save it. Printed. Okay. All right, so let's look at all these exports. And you see how easy it is to export all these things. Let's actually take a look at what they look like once they got exported. So this is what happens when you actually export your project to PDF. So I didn't print this one. This is just export to PDF. And where's my dark background? I wanted that. So one thing that does kind of suck is sometimes the different backgrounds don't maintain themselves. But when you print to PDF, you actually have an option. So if I printed to PDF, it actually looks kind of horrible. But then if I actually print to PDF and there's more settings, background graphics, this reloads it. And then actually, there you go. So printing to PDF is actually a little bit better for that if you have dark mode in that instance because of that. So let's see here. There we go. So there's my actual project, how it looks like. Now I can see how the other one, you might want to actually print these views because maybe less ink, get rid of the background image and you're wasting less ink, but that would like drain your printer in a single page. So I could see why, but having options, there you go, there's some options. Here's just the image of the project, just a JPEG, and it doesn't look bad. If you're just gonna print an action list like this of your tasks, great way to do it. Just show an image and bam, there you go. Now let's look at the text options. So if I went to .txt, it actually does look like Markdown. It's pretty much Markdown. But if I went to Markdown, it actually adds those little task boxes. So there's not really too much of a difference. I'm not sure why they add list here. Got me. But there you go. You have plain text import and export, which is a really cool thing. So because projects are basically entities that you can move around and have these tasks and assignments, and there's different spaces you can hold these things in and people assigned to them and all this and that. What if I want to actually duplicate a project exactly how it is, not just a template? I don't want to have to make a template, put it over there. How do I add a template from here to this other workspace? I could do that, but what do? There are simpler ways. Instead of having to deal with any of that template shenanigans to just get all the content from one project duplicated to another project, but not like just move it, here's what you can do. Click the ellipses and you can actually copy. Copy to where? Pick a different workspace. And now you can actually copy a new project to a given workspace. I could put it in my main workspace. There it was, copy. And now I can go to home and now it's going to be here. There you go. But what we can also do is instead of just copying, if you just want to say, no, remove it from here and put it over there because you're pruning what you have inside of your sub and main workspaces. So what you can do is I can just move it back to video ideas. And some people may lose access when this project is moved. So if you have people assigned to this workspace and you wanted them on this project, but then you want to move the project back over there, they might lose permissions and can no longer see it. This warning is a really useful, informative warning of what you're doing to your work. And so now it's back here. There you go. Bam. Just like that. So let's say I might not even have all of the tasks inside of a project done. This one certainly doesn't have it all done. And this is the copy. But what you can do is right here, mark a project as complete. So just like tasks and tasks being a primitive of the project, is that I can mark this project as complete. Oh, where'd it go? What the heck? Where'd it go? Filter? Nope. How do I find that project again? So the project is completed now, and we can say, how do I find that? You need to go to archive. So how do we get to our archive? Is it that way? Nope. That's actually archiving our subspace. So once you are finished with the project, completed. So once you go to completed, you can see, oh, here are all the projects that I've completed. They're out of this main working area. It's not on the roadmap. Actually, it would be on the roadmap if we added it to a due date. Let's just make it tomorrow to today, set roadmap, and nope, it's actually off the roadmap. Once it's completed, it's taken off. It's no longer visible and on your plate. You can still go in here. You can still look at it, but it's now over here in this completed area. It's off your plate and out of your hair. But we can always restore it at any time. Now, one other thing I can also do is not from here, but let's just say I'm done with this whole entire workspace. I don't want to delete it, but I want it to be gone. I want it out of here. I'm done with it, and I want to just have it out of my face. What you can do is you can actually archive this workspace. Now, what I want to know is, can you actually archive projects? And I don't think we can do that. So let's go here, and can we archive this? Nope. So we're going to archive the workspace and see what happens. Okay. Oops, don't want to delete it. Thankfully, it prompts archive. And now it's no longer here. How do I get to that workspace? Let's say I clicked off. How do I get to that workspace again and get my stuff back? What the heck? So we can actually go to our main menu, and actually it's settings, not main menu, settings. And so if you go to settings and then go to archives, here we go. These are the archives for all of the workspaces that you have archived, including how many members were actually added to them. And we can restore it or we can delete it. So really useful, so you can hold on to all these things for historical archiving, but it doesn't have to clutter up your main area or your main spaces and feeds. That's another really useful feature. Now we're going to get into something cool, the metadata. So we've already seen different dates, we've seen assignments to people, and we've seen how these things can be either filtered or we can see them on the roadmap because now they have due dates like that. But what is this tag? What's tags all about? So tags are really cool. Let's just add one. We can add YouTube, add it. And let's add another one. We have to make it. So let's just call this, green. Okay. And we'll add green. Cool. And let's also add green to that one and green to that one. But on this one, let's make a new one and call it yellow. So let's see how this works. I want to say filter all of the projects. Let's say I have hundreds of them. I want to see what is assigned to me. Filter, what is assigned to me? Okay, great. Oh, maybe I should actually assign some of these more to myself so this actually shows better progressive filtering, because this is actually a really cool feature, and especially the way it works just like Zotero does with progressive filtering. Filter, assigned to me, okay, but I only want to see green, okay, so me, green, but also I only want to see YouTube. Okay, well, it shows me all of these. Why is it showing me these? Well, I don't know. I don't know why it's also showing me these, because these are the last modified, unless last modified is only thing that shows no matter what is actually shown here. But maybe it's showing me these things with any instead of has only this one. So not as strict of search as I thought. It was at that point Bryan realized it was not progressive filtering. So actually, what this is actually doing is not and criteria, it's doing or criteria. So what it's actually saying is if any of these projects have been assigned to me, or they have the tag green, or they have the tag YouTube, show them to me. So this is the inverse of what I thought. So that is inclusive filtering. I thought it was exclusive, which is it has to be assigned to me, and it has to have the label green, and it has to have the label YouTube. That's how Zotero does it, progressive filtering. So that way I would only see this project if these were and instead of or, because that's why I'm seeing these, because these are, they're assigned to me, but they're also green. So they fit either of these two criteria. So this will pick up anything that has any of these options instead of something that has all of these specifically. And that is a very critical difference. So this is inclusive filtering. And I've already suggested to the Taskade team to change this to exclusive filtering, because that would be more poignant for people with lots of project items. So filtering. By now you've already seen some of the temporal components. We can actually assign due dates or due date ranges to a task or a project, and how this represents on that roadmap view, and also just in your general task list ordering. So I can actually assign this a date of that day. Okay. And I'm going to do this one, date to there. I just want the 30th. And so you saw what I did there, right? So if I actually assign this a date, I can click and it will actually do a range. But if I click again on a single day, it will actually just limit to that specific day. So that is a really cool thing. And we can also add times if we wanted to. Okay, 1 p.m. There we go. Cool, so we can set start and end times. That was actually a bug I raised earlier. So there we go. Now we can see the tasks as they're outlined based on, oh, that's past due, that's upcoming. So this is obviously higher priority, what project it's from, because we're in the workspace. And then the roadmap for the actual project itself, it shows there. Excellent. Now, a lot of these types of due dates and temporal components, things to do with time, is likely going to be even more useful when we start feeding into a new project view, because Taskade, the staff are actually working on 2 new views that deal with temporal components, calendar and Gantt charts. So we have the ability to look at these different views up here, which we're going to get to very shortly, but there's no Gantt view. There's no calendar view for a specific project here. Even though we have the calendar to see all of my personal stuff, cross projects and tasks in a single calendar view, that is available. It does exist, and I can access that. But there's nothing for just this project right here, a convenient view like these ones. So that's going to be a really cool feature when they get added, and likely all these due dates are going to feed into that Gantt chart component. So that's going to be even better for all of you project managers. Ah, yes. Time for the meaty part of the video. More stuff about tasks, and then finally how we can view them. So tasks are really awesome. These are the building blocks of these projects. Now from in here, I can take these tasks, I can drag them around, I can make them nested, I can click in here, and I can tab and shift tab to move them forward and backward. I can make endless lists of tasks, because if I just keep indenting this, it'll just keep ongoing. It doesn't matter. Infinite levels of nesting. And then when I'm tired of that, I can collapse it. It's really, really awesome. So we can drag and reorder. And you've seen tags on projects, but we can actually add tags to tasks. So I can add a hashtag, and what tag am I going to use? Let's do YouTube. And it should have found that one. I guess that's only, unless that is only a project level tag. I thought they were the same, one and the same. I guess not. YouTube. There we go. So now we have a tag called YouTube, and let's just make a tag called Bryan, and let's also add the tag here, Bryan. So what might be useful in this instance, because this isn't just like the project level tags, okay? Because if I click this, it's going to go and show me all projects tagged YouTube, like that. Or it's just going to take me back to this view. Normally that filters by tag. In any case, what might be useful is just to have a explanatory header up here. So let's just say, I want to change this actually to be a paragraph. It's just going to be some text. Tags in this project are, and what we're going to add in here is hashtag. Oh, it actually already tries to autocomplete for me. That's really useful. So now, here we go. We have tags. What happens when I click the tag? What should happen? If I click YouTube, it filters the project down to the items that have YouTube on it. Now, why is all this here? Because those are the parents of this child item. And you can see, whoa, what happened up here? Because now I'm searching for this tag inside of a search bar. How did that happen? So you can do this with a click, or you can do it all with the keyboard. But if I click Bryan, well, now it's searching for that tag. But now I get more options because this is tagged with Bryan, that is tagged with Bryan, and now I get more of these options. So really the cool, powerful thing about tags in projects inside of these task items is that it allows you to filter your actual tasks inside the project live within the project. I just want to say, hey, show me all the things that are tagged with my name or this tag, and it will show you a filtered view. Now we can also access this menu here just by doing Command F. So if I did Command F, just like a browser search, Taskade actually takes over that operation first and is searching for anything, either an at mention, a tag, a word, an assignee. So I could say, tall guy. Okay, my name on here, tall guy Jenks, it's assigned to me. Okay, well, let's talk about API. Okay, there's the word API. It got popped up by the search. Okay, I'm gonna look for hashtag Bryan, and now there we go. Everything's filtered by hashtag Bryan. YouTube. It actually finds it. Case insensitive. That's also really useful. But what if I wanted to search with the browser search, not your search, Taskade. So let's just do F. So now in the bottom left, there's screen key. So I can do Command F, and then because I'm already here and I'm still holding Command F again. And now I'm actually using the browser search, API, whatever. But what is that advanced search feature that I just popped up? Command F and Command Enter. This allows you to jump between comments, projects, and workspaces. Really, 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 really cool. And this is just done with Command K. So you could just do Command F and then Enter, or you can just do Command K if you want to search for everything. Because if we were back in that project, and I just did Command K, it's already going to open up this menu, which is basically advanced search. Search all projects, comments, and workspaces. Comment. Nope, no comments. So test. Will anything come up with test? There's probably a lot of words test inside of any of these projects or anything in here. So it might actually struggle to search for all of these. But ultimately what I really like about this is that this is basically like the Obsidian quick switcher to switch to your most recent projects in here. So if I was on a project, I can quickly just do Command K and then arrows and then enter into that particular project. That is absolutely wonderful, especially because this also shows you different progress bars for each of these projects. So you can see how far something is along. This is also a really, really awesome feature. You see what's recent and how much it's been worked on. Now, what if you're like me and you don't like seeing all of this clutter? I've completed these tasks, but I don't want to see this clutter. I want it away. Well, as a project level option, you can click this, hide completed. Now we can check everything and complete it all. We can fold all of these nested items up and just fold everything up. We can sort by these items. Now I believe sort and all of this is actually some of the pro options for the paid version. So, a little bit of friction, but not like, impossible to deal with. But we can also sort if you had the paid and hide completed. Now I only see what is not completed. This is a very, very useful feature for me because this is actually how I have my stuff set up in Obsidian. I want my tasks to disappear from the UI when I complete them. In the edit view, I can see them, but in the preview view, when I've completed them, they're gone. It's less mental distraction and less visual input to look at. So that is a really useful feature. And this is not even getting into how we can actually style these tasks. This is a whole nother aspect of task management and kind of like your own taxonomy and organization system is how you are going to decorate these tasks. So to start that off, how do you decorate these tasks? There are a number of hotkeys, and we'll get into the hotkeys later, but basically everything in here for the most part has hotkeys, and when it doesn't, I go in, I send information to the Taskade team to ask them for the hotkey. But in essence, you can actually select text or just use the bar down here that appears, and I could say highlight yellow. And now this thing will highlight this whole task is yellow. But if you use the hotkey Command E, it will actually cycle through your top 5 options or off highlighting for that item. Now you can also select your own custom colors, and it would be nice to be able to select your custom colors for the cycling through options. Already told the team about that, but that would be really cool. But if you put your custom color on and hit E, it'll actually turn it off. So it's on and off in that instance. So that's useful. We also have, the standard bold, italic, and underline with what you'd expect: Control B, I, and U, Control B, Control I, Control U, and now you have, bold, italic, and underline. We can also endlessly indent these tasks like this, so that is never a problem. We've already shown you tasks or comments. So if I actually access the additional options menu with command /, here's some other options. And this is one thing I really was happy with, is that once I did a hotkey, it actually prompts me with additional keys, not mouse, to do these other types of things. So if I actually went to embed, I could actually do any of these particular options, and we'll get to those in a second. But let's just say I want to add a comment. So I could just do command /, I'll turn on the screen key again, command / C. Now I'm in a comment. Hello world. I could type, enter, escape, and now I'm back on the comment. Back on the task, exactly where I expected to be. So I can add a comment, and those comments also actually have Markdown support. I don't think headings though. So let's just do bold. There you go. So you got the Markdown support, and we can even add notes, different from comments, but it's part of this task item. If I go Shift Enter on a particular note, Shift Enter, oh, I guess it has to be on its own level. Yes, it has to be, it can't have children tasks, I guess. But Shift Enter, this is a note for the task. And just like that, there you go. You have a note on this particular task item. And this is really, really useful if you have like a long, very, very long narrative for a particular task and you want to give all that background. And we can always just collapse it, just like that. So that's really useful, having notes. We've already seen due dates, and we've seen, actually, have we shown assign parties? I think we did, but I can actually command / A to assign. Who am I going to assign it to? Myself, because I'm the only one in this project. So there we go, we can assign it. Now, one other really cool thing is that you can actually have attachments and embedded objects and items. So command /, I'm going to upload a file for an attachment. What file? And let's go to an image, media, pictures, and let's go to emoji and Arch Linux. Add the Arch Linux logo. And just like that, I have attached an image to this task. So if you have a task with a particular deliverable, you're working with a design team on an application, and you attach this deliverable to a particular task, great. Pop it into a board view. There you go. Move it through the actual board, because you can just do this with different board areas if you had different headings. So that's a really useful feature because you can add your different files and work items. So we got attachments, and we can also add different embedded objects. So I'm going to do / and then go to embed, and we can embed any of these things. A Typeform, SoundCloud, I don't even know what InVision is, but Figma, Wistia, don't know what that is either. But look at all these video providers, YouTube, Loom, Vimeo, all of these different types of videos, players are all available to be inserted. Yeah, cool. So there we go. Now I just embedded a YouTube video inside of this task. Awesome. Let's say I'm tired of all these examples and I don't want to have to click every single bubble or deal with everything over and over again. I just want to complete all this crap. If I select all of this and I just do Command Enter, bam, all of that was just completed. All of it. Here, if I show completed, it's all there. Bam, Command Enter, and now all of it is done. So now if I go from here and I change this new line to, let's just say a H1, this is H1, and below that, I want to actually have a paragraph with some text. This is not a task. This is just, basically documentation. So you could mix your tasks and documentation like this with no problem, like I did up here with the tags. But when you complete all of your tasks, guess what? It also goes for your documentation portions too, if you want it to be. So if I select these like H1 for a level 1 header and the text, and I do Command Enter, it actually completes them. And now they're gone. They're down here. That is really cool, to treat them not really as tasks, but as items that can be completed or of a completed status. That is a really useful thing when you're trying to mix your documentation and tasks together. Okay, nested, or different views, not nested, but views. You're seeing your list view right here. This is where we have this outliner where you can have your checkboxes, whatever, and then have one indented, blah, 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 blah. Indented as far as you want. This is your traditional outliner. This is the list view. When you have all of these different items like this, really, you can see them in multiple views. Now, if we went to board, it wouldn't look as good because we actually would want an additional, let's see if we can do it here. I want to add a block, and I want to add a, let's do check one. Yeah, so it's already doing it exactly how I want it to be. Block 2, or actually let's just call this done. Or wait, no, doing, because this one is going to be backlog. So I have these two areas here, and I got some tasks, some are nested, and there's 2 headings. When I go to board view, those text headings, and this thing is actually considered one as well, become the headers of a Kanban board. And so for these tasks, I could actually drag this task from one area to another. So you basically have a Kanban board. This is the board view. So when I go back to list view, now that new item is down there. All the items work together interchangeably. It doesn't matter the view. You can change the data on them in any of these views based on the logic of that view. So there you go. Now, if you had, let's say, hey, let's test some other features. Here's a tag. I'm going to test the tag. It filters down the Kanban view too, to the column and then the item that actually has that tag. Again, really useful. And if I actually @mentioned myself, myself, and let's just say in here, people involved, and I add myself, @tall, and I click my name, it works exactly the same as tasks, but only for tagging people. And now I can see only the tags or the files that I'm tagged on here, or where I mentioned, because I could have a task assigned to me, but I might actually be mentioned in the conversation, and I could see it if I'm @mentioned like this. I mean, even if it wasn't an @mention, it was just the text of my name. If I went like this and searched for it, it's still going to find me. Okay, if I search for that, oh, not finding me there. But when I remove the @mention, there I am. So ultimately, many ways to find yourself. But now we can go to Action View, and I really like Action View because it takes everything and lays it flat out in a tabular format while still maintaining the nested hierarchy of these tasks. So the indentation stays the same, but we have all of the details in this hierarchy placed over here. I greatly prefer this because here, due dates, assignment, comments, files, and additional meta options that you have, and everything you might expect here, add to a particular calendar. That's cool. And we can even add tasks above and below each other. Cool, duplicate, copy a link to that particular task to send to somebody. That's really neat. And then ultimately the parent items, collapse them. Fold those items so you don't have to see them. And so if it's multiple levels of children here, go to the top level, fold it. Now you don't have to see any of it. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Here's an interesting one. Mind map. So each of these headings is basically a node. The project itself is the root. So project root. Now, this is the first text area, the other Kanban column, the other one. These are the actual, next level nodes. And when the parent items have children, it shows as parent and child nodes on the actual mind map. So if I want to make a child, I would add an additional item here. This is the newest child. I can't spell, I don't care. Bam. So now we have a new child element. God, it's bothering me. I guess I do care. What if I want to add one below? So now I can add, this is the newest sibling. So now we have those two. But if we go back to the action view, there we go. It has 2 new children, but this one is the sibling of that child. And that was done in the mind map view. So if you're doing like a brainstorm and you want to just get all those ideas out like this in a mind map view, and then you want to take it back to action and actually take action upon it, and then see it in a board to then use the Kanban strategy for it, bam, awesome. So this next view, I actually want to make a new project for just to show you something a little bit more unique. So let's just say manager has nested staff member and staff member 2. And staff member 2 has some details, allergic to corn. And then this one actually has loves cats. Great, cool. Why did I do that? Because an org chart, it does the exact same thing, is that now I could see like the details of these staff members, or I could see who reports to who. It doesn't actually have to be tasks And it can actually just be a straight block of text even. So if I actually do that and I change it to a paragraph, okay, and I can make that like this, and let's see if I can, nope. Okay, let's see what that looks like. No, so that treats it as children. So if they were tasks, you get to keep the children of those text items. But what I really wanted to do is actually show that this actually shows hierarchy of people. So you can make your actual like work org chart here. I'm gonna give up on this part. Loves cats. Yeah, me too. So now you have your manager, your staff member, and you have subordinate. And when we go to org view, now you can see who reports to who. Now, if you're using Microsoft Teams, that kind of thing is already built into the Active Directory. But inside of Taskade, if you wanted to do something like that, that's kind of cool. Or just to show like the reporting structure of something or how links to other projects are ordered, because you just get a list of projects in the workspace view. But what if you wanted to have all of the development roadmap lined out inside of a org chart like this, so that you can actually see where the dependencies at the bottom are coming from? So I'm going to say, hey, let's see what we need to start with, and then where that trickles out to or up into. So this is a really great way of tracking an organizational structure, either staff assignments or the work and how it's assigned or the relationships between items and objects. Really, really cool. And this is all working on the exact same set of data, just different views of it. And the fact that it can do that and it's that flexible while still being able to export to Markdown is incredible. And while you're in a particular project, one really cool thing you can do is you can actually change your default view. I'm on list, but I'm going to go to action, and you can see the little pop-up. If I click again, set as default view. So now if I go to any other project, okay, live example, it's actually going to default me. I guess it's only if I actually create a new project. But if I make a new project, it's actually going to default me to the action view. Or it should. I guess not. Maybe it's only if I return to that particular project or the particular view of that project. Okay, so yeah, list and then action. So you're actually setting the default for that particular project, not all projects. But I actually really enjoy that because I love the action view. So I usually like to default to there. So having it just automatically go to the correct thing, useful feature. And as you've already seen, all of the collaborative nature of this application, I have the ability to leave comments. I can actually tag people in those comments. I can talk to the chat. I can tag people here. And I can even use Markdown in here. I can use emojis in here. Bam. I can upload files. I can have a video call, like tons of collaboration. And we can also enable notifications, because you've seen me like complete a task. It actually updates the chat with project updates, so you can see and get notifications on what things are actually happening in the projects that you care about. That is awesome. Let's just say a particular project is related to like a migration with a vendor on the outside of your organization. You don't want them poking around at all your files, but you can invite them to a particular project so that you can actually have them collaborating with you and seeing the updates in here live of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and everyone can work collaboratively, calls, everything to get work done with an external, agency, people, department, whatever, and you can pull them in only where you need them. It's really neat. Now it's time for the hotkeys. There's a lot of hotkeys. I'm just going to cover some of the main ones. So list view in here, as I can say, command / and I'll get these little letter options to do actions, assigning people, comments, all those things. That is command / or again, when I say command, Windows, it's control. Just use control. So due date, pick a due date, whatever. Bam, that's command /. Now, if you want to see all the hotkeys or all the main hotkeys, you can do control shift /. So it would be control for anybody, control shift /, and you can see this pop-up menu of all of the different hotkeys that we can access. So you can actually change formatting, general and jump around, go to the add-ons. The add-ons are that little menu I just popped up. Your typical redo, undo, indenting. We can move tasks up and down by doing command or control shift up and down, which is really awesome. Command D for duplicate, which is really cool. Command arrows for folding, and then shifting your views. So I can actually Command Shift up arrow to move that task. I can Command down arrow or up arrow to fold, down arrow to open. And I can actually change my view by doing Command Shift and then the angle bracket to shift my views. Check a little animation up at the top, a little bounce animation. That's cool. Lots and lots of options with hotkeys. And the fact that they emphasize hotkeys a lot in here is something I really, really enjoy and I think is really great. I can select a bunch of tasks and I can Command Enter to complete them, Command Enter on a single thing to complete it. And if I want to select everything, I can do Command A, but it only actually incrementally selects all per level. So it selected all of this one, but now all of this entire task. A again, its parent. A again, all of its siblings. A again, the entire block. And then if I did A again, the entire project. Command Enter, completed the entire project, all in one batch. Really awesome. Love my hotkeys. Now, one thing I haven't set up, and I don't really want to mess with my calendars because I rely on them so heavily. I don't want to poke any bears here, but you can use the integrations feature from settings, integrations, and you can do calendar feeds. So you can sync your scheduled tasks between your calendars. The two-way sync, and I believe even just the one-way calendar sync may only be for the pro version, but either way, really cool to sync your tasks across your calendars. And when you use Google Calendar and the task features like that, this might actually be something that's really value added and useful to you. All right, let's say you want to try Taskade. Taskade has very generously sponsored this video by also, for you all, using my particular code, Tall Guy Jenks, one word, you will get a 100% lifetime free workspace. This means that you can use my code and you can get a completely pro version, 100% pro, 100% free for life code. First 1,000 people to use it, get that. And after that, I don't think there's any other discounts after that. But what you can do with Taskade that is also really awesome is if you say you miss that opportunity, I want to actually upgrade my workspace. I want to have a workspace that is completely free, open, unlocked, everything. How do I do that? Upgrade. Okay, well, here are your payment options. Okay, what you'd expect. But here you go. Earn credits. Free upgrade. How do I do that? So what you can do with credits is that you can get $10 in credit for every single person you refer to Taskade with your code. Now, I don't need this, but maybe you might want to take advantage of this if you were not able to get the code deal that is on this video. So if you're not one of the first 1,000 people to take advantage of that code, this is how you could potentially use Taskade as a pro version for free. It's just invite these people, and when they sign up, and it doesn't even look like they have to be actually paying. So it's not like one of those they have to sign up and they have to make a purchase or anything. It looks like it's just invite people, exposure. So it looks like they're really just paying with exposure. So if you want to take advantage of this and get that account and not have to pay for the application because you want to use it, this is another very valid way without using money to use this application. So if that sounds interesting, all of that information is here on the video, my code, and it will be in the description of the video and the pinned comment. So do check it out if you're interested. So hopefully you found that video interesting. It's a really cool application. There's a lot you can do with it. It's very flexible, and they're doing a lot of crazy development right now. A lot of good press. I think they've even got funded recently, so they are making big, fast strides, and they're just doing a lot of cool stuff. So do check out the application. It was very, very interesting. And maybe it might actually help you with your workflow. Use the code and it will help you get, lifetime free pro version. And thank you again, Taskade, for sponsoring this video. See you in the next one.